Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I am your host, Sandy Shallis, and tonight I have a pretty good show, like always. Very interesting, something a little different from my norm, especially asking the question, is Jesus a communist? And I found a new writer who's really cool. He's different from what I usually read, although he's actually really not. And I also have a new anti-war music video I made that, I cried making it pretty much through picking my clips and the music and everything. And I don't know if I was going to play it first or play it last. Well, I think I'm going to get into the show, and I'm going to say hi to everybody. Hi, Wireless Mike and Kim and Jean. Kim and Jean, thank you for moderating. Scott's not here yet. Hi, Bila and Robert in, let's see, I said Wireless. Robert Forsyth, and you don't like my music. And David, and it's great that you are all joining me. I'm really happy. Don't forget to give me a like, a thumbs up, and all that YouTube happy stuff. How are you? I have to say, the writer I found, Jared Brock, he's done movies and he writes. I found him. I don't know how, actually. He's got, well, I will show you. I will show you his site, and we will talk about, well, we're going to read this article, and then we're going to talk about him, and then I have a video to show you actually of him, and you're going to be surprised. I think you're going to be surprised. So let's get ready, and we will get this up, and we're going to do the article. That's Jared. And the first article, the only article I'm reading tonight is called Free Market Capitalism Doesn't Exist. No, seriously, it's an oxymoronic myth. And this is his AI work here that he did. Now, I have not gotten any kind of AI software. I do my stuff all myself. And I have not even thought about it. But, well, what the heck, I'm old school, I guess. I work hard and do it all myself. So let's get started, and here we go. I was cooking supper at a beloved friend's house on his brand new stove. It's a super fancy, super expensive unit, more of an altar than an appliance, with multiple ovens, a warming drawer, and 5 induction hobs. Induction cooking freaks me out. I've read up on the science behind it, but I still don't get it. Something magnets equals instantly hot, then instantly cold, the instant you take the pan off the element. Well, it's pretty great. As I marveled over this technology, my friend joked with a Cheshire cat grin. It's just one of the many miracles of free market capitalism. I laughed. Then I realized that while he was teasing, he wasn't joking. I stopped laughing. The free market doesn't actually exist, right? Before we can discuss free market capitalism, let's briefly discuss what capitalism actually isn't. It's not corporations gobbling up other corporations. That's corporatism. It's not companies growing so large that they dictate terms to everyone else. That's monopoly. It's not a small group of rich elites deciding the economic rules. That's oligarchy. It's not people or corporations hoarding property to extract rents and interest from the productive capitalist class. That's renterism. Capitalism is simply the private ownership of property, as opposed to communism, which is the common ownership of all property. Humans are desperately evil, which is why both all private ownership and all public ownership always fail. because tyrants eventually control everything. Social democracy is a mixed economy located between the two extremes of all private and all public, a democratic attempt to ward off tyrants. But back to capitalism. The word was first used by French socialist Louis Blanc in 1850. He defined it as the appropriation of capital by some to the exclusion of others. Capitalism is taking something public in common, like land, and appropriating it for private use. That is a fancy word for we stole it by force. The term free market first appeared in Scottish philosopher Adam Smith's 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations. He wrongly believed democracy shouldn't interfere, regulate, or protect buyers and sellers in any way, and that an invisible hand, seriously, would magically create the best society. What a nutter! Free equals no rules. Market equals humanity. Capitalism equals the expropriation of public resources for private use. In other words, a rules-free market is a black market. Hear that, libertarians? Okay. You can see why literally no stable country on earth practices free market capitalism. Rules-free markets are how you end up with lead paint on children's toys. Rules-free markets are how you end up with RBST in dairy products. Rules-free markets are how you end up with guns in the hands of warlords. Plus, rules-free markets leave everyone enslaved because rules-free markets don't remain rules-free for very long. As soon as one player in the market, almost always a seller, has appropriated enough of the resources, they start dictating terms for everyone else. That's how Amazon charges up to 51% of the price of items for sale on its site, despite not making the stuff on its site. Well, take away the rules of economics and people get enslaved every time. Quote, we talk about freedom all the time, but we've stopped talking about freedom a long time ago. Now we're talking about autonomy. Freedom is different than autonomy. Freedom has boundaries. Truth is one of those boundaries, and morality is one of those boundaries. Autonomy is the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, in whatever way you want. The problem is this. If I'm autonomous and another person is autonomous and I have preferences and those matter more than the truth, and that person has preferences and their preferences matter more than the truth, when two autonomous preference-seeking beings come together and their preferences don't match, who's going to win? If truth is on the bottom shelf, truth won't decide. What will decide will be power. And isn't it ironic that in our quest for freedom, someone gets enslaved? Unquote. Abdu Murray. When my friend says his induction stove is a product of free market capitalism, he couldn't be farther from the truth. A rules-free black market didn't magically invent his oven. What actually sparked this level of human innovation was a combination of factors including getting rid of parasites, monarchy, aristocracy, and feudalism, quasi-representative democratic governments, private property rights, massive investment in near-cost public utilities like water, energy, and rail, laws against illegal economic activity, a stable currency for trading, expansive credit creation, compounding technological gains, massive public investment in infrastructure, massive public investment in defense to create stability for markets to thrive, trade protections, patent protections, copyright protections, trademark protections. In other words, rules. So, not a free market. Whoops. What's really ironic is that whether they know it or not, nearly every single sane person on earth actually hates free market capitalism. Industrial capitalists hate free market capitalism because competition kills profit margins. Billionaire Warren Buffett talks about this all the time. All the time. Monopolists hate free market capitalism because they don't want anyone else selling besides themselves. Billionaire Peter Thiel talks about this all the time. Landlords hate free market capitalism because they want government to limit housing supply to drive up rents. Banksters, they hate free market capitalism because they need governments to enforce their right to collect interest from people who can't afford to repay them. Rentiers hate free market capitalism because they need governments to enforce their copyrights, trademarks, and registered patents. Communism, socialists, and lovers of democracy, they hate free market capitalism because clearly the majority of humanity thinks it's reasonable and wise to put reasonable and wise constraints on greed. Ironically, capitalism itself requires rules. Private property is only property because of the rules of property rights. Rules-free markets, they don't have property rights. Capitalism requires property rights, and free markets require the absence of rules. A market cannot simultaneously be free and capitalist. Rules-free markets cannot be capitalist markets. The term free market capitalism is an oxymoron for morons. The only people who genuinely love rules-free markets are voracious predators and destroyers, anti-commons, anarchist hyper-individualists. Clearly, everyone, including libertarian hyper-individual capitalists, hey, they love rules. If only the rule of law and the rule of private property rights, clearly it's a spectrum. Some of us want rules that say Colgate can't put arsenic in our toothpaste. Are we crazy to want that? Should people have to die for the rest of us to discover that Colgate is lethal to society? Is that really unreasonable? Everyone likes some rules. It's just a spectrum. Far right-wingers only cry free market when the rules aren't to their personal liking. Ironically, most of today's free marketeers have weakly attempted to redefine the free market as having some minimal rules, their rules. It seems reasonable that all those forced to play a game should have a say in making the rules of that game. Democracy itself is the only true free market. In practice, true free market capitalism equals oxymoronic anarchy, inevitably followed by tyranny. It's a really stupid and evil way to structure a market. Surely the goal should be a democratic, fair rules market. But no one likes fair rules. Everyone wants a personal advantage. I liked it. I hope you did. So he's very interesting, Jared. He has a Substack. He's on Medium. He has a new book. He's got a couple of books, but this one is called A God Named Josh. He is a Christian, but I really like him, and it's okay. It's really okay. So he says, here's what real readers are saying. I have an insatiable need for Jared's perspectives. Not only does he present a problem in an understandable and meaningful way, he offers solutions that are, I didn't get that. Well, we're not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to give you a couple of the things that he's written. Money creation must be made public. Without radical reform, banks will soon own the world. Blockades, blackouts, and ballistics. Gaza is collapsing. Stop letting banks create money. The Pope just weighed in on climate change. Israel at war. How to actually make $100 million in passive profit. Not clickbait, real case study. Obviously, I haven't won the war with Warlords, disease, and heat waves. Welcome to the new abnormal. You'd almost think Jared was a Bernie Sanders acolyte or follower. He may have been. I don't know much about him yet. So, but that's what we're learning about him. And I am going to play you a video, and I'm going to show you Jared. Okay, we're going to look at Jared, and then we're going to take some of your we'll take some of your comments. Let me get this ready. Okay, give me a sec. Get that. We'll get the new one ready, and
Jesus' economics are deeply troubled.
We don't want to do that yet. So hang around. Give me a second. I'm going to turn me off. Yep. Let's watch Jared. Is Jesus a communist?
Jesus' economics are deeply troubling for certainly people living under the Roman Empire, and they're definitely troubling for those of us who live in the capitalist empire. So is Jesus a communist? The answer is no, but so Karl Marx was so what he did. Karl Marx and the early communists, they basically they lifted two phrases directly from Acts 2 and Acts 4 verbatim, from each according to his ability to each according to his need. That in the Christian conception is the ultimate economy, that I work with the power and the skills and the might and the drive that God has given me, and I only keep what I need, and everything else above that I give it to those in need, the hurting, the lost, the broken, the poor. That's so beautiful. That's biblical economics. But then Marx goes, now let's force the secular world to do this, and it just falls apart every single time it's been tried. I've been to Russia, I've been to China, I've been to North Korea. You try to force Christian economics. First of all, if it's forced and Christian, it's not Christian. And as you try to force from each to each on a secular world, you just end up with Stalins, you end up with Hitlers, you end up with all these horrible dictators through history. So, Marx's big problem is that he forgot about human nature. Jesus is radical when it comes to money. He is against interest. He says loan to anyone, including your enemies, and expect nothing in return. He's against unjust gain. He's against unjust scales. He upholds the whole Old Testament, and he fills it up with love. There's, everything you read in the Old Testament, those economic laws, Jesus goes above and beyond in the New Testament. So he is all about, give until it hurts. Love your enemies. If his cousin John the Baptizer says, if you have two coats, give one away. You've stolen a coat from the poor. So Jesus' economics are radical by any stretch. But what happens in Acts 2? The early church hears the words of Jesus, and they just automatically overflows in koinonia, in communal shared possessions. They start selling their extra properties, their extra land, and they distribute it to those in need. And what happens? The Bible says there's no more poor people among them. And that's the radical thing that makes the church go viral, is the fact that the outside world looks at them and go, wow, like, we're under the boot of the Romans, and you still don't have poor people among you because you love each other so well. That's an inspiration for us in the rich West today.
All right. So there's Jared. Jared is I'm telling you, he's quite interesting, I thought. And I thought really it was worth bringing him on and introducing you to him. It's funny. I am an atheistic person. I don't believe in organized religion or God, like, that supernatural being and all that. But Jared made sense because Jared sounded like Bernie Sanders. I thought a little bit. Anyway, and I thought it was really nice to introduce you to somebody different that we're not used to. And we can look at a few of your comments that I saved. Tommyist, those libertarian nuts actually believe that it's worse to tax a billionaire $1 extra than it is to use that dollar to help a starving person, right? I hear ya. And hello, Josie. I hope I'm saying it right. That reminds me, today I was reading an Investopedia article that insinuates that money can disappear into thin air. That's what happens when you buy a stock and its value goes down over time. There's some of us that actually are in the, our so-called genre here that literally are. They play the stocks. Hi, Gary. Jared has done quite a number of pieces and written books that many folks could really benefit from, no matter your beliefs. Theist, agnostic, or atheist makes no difference. Thank you, Gary. And that's what I see in him so far. I do. So, and that was what I saved. What else do we have? Jean, you guys are all talking and chatting. I just thought, maybe it's because of Michael Dowd and my reinvigoration because of Michael. Gary, Sandy, remember this. Atheists are God's favorite people, and God is also the universe's greatest atheist. God has trouble believing in God's own self since forever. Gary, I love you. I truly do. I do, because you're so interesting. You're so interesting. One can practice all that good stuff and not believe that a man was conceived immaculately. I feel that way. He was almost talking like in other stuff I watched that Jesus is a guy, has this name, and I don't have it. You'll have to watch more. And he said Jesus was this guy, but because Jesus had all of these amazing characteristics, why was he not God? Right? Well, then why aren't people now called God? And I'm not talking about those television evangelists that fly around like Kenneth Copeland in airplanes and just suck the money out of poor, unsuspecting, innocent Americans that don't know any better. I mean, I was looking through a lot of religious videos on YouTube, and they get hundreds of thousands of views. And I'm talking about some of the hardcore stuff. It's quite fascinating. Yes, Jean, it is a fascinating topic. And I will probably bring more writing from him back into the fold, because I did think it was a fascinating topic. And again, I wasn't going to make a super long show tonight. I just wanted to talk about this with you guys. What if God was one of us? Just a slob like one of us. Thanks, Scott. That was a great song. It was. In some circles like Hinduism, we are of God. God is our soul seed, making us demigod. Yes. Why do people have such trouble just being alive? Well, that's $1 million question, don't you think? No one's ever been able to answer that one, Rollins. No, I don't think so. But anyway, so I'm not making this a super long show tonight, but I just thought, well, it's interesting. And again, Michael Dowd was a Christian and he was a reverend, and his death has maybe put me on a little quest. His death, my illness, the war that's happening now, the Ukraine war, the Israel war, all the misinformation, all the craziness. I'm not going to talk about this particular topic. I make videos, and I made a music video. And I'm going to play the music video. And we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the music video. Okay? Now, I want everyone here to watch and listen. Listen to the music and enjoy this if you can. There's parts of it that just made me cry, and I put it together.
making their way through the sweaty jungles of South Vietnam, searching for an elusive enemy. The temperature is almost 100 degrees, and the jungle stifles even the tiniest breeze. The going is slow. There could be a North Vietnamese regiment hiding a few yards away, and no one would see it. Nobody talks, so you start thinking. Specialist Corps Dwayne Boer is thinking he's going to meet his fiancée in Honolulu in 2 weeks, and he will show her the silver star the general pinned on him yesterday.
Tell me why, tell me why, tell me why. Why can't we leave together, baby? Tell me why, tell me why. Why can't we leave together, baby? Everybody wants to leave together. Why can't we live together? Oh. No more war, no more war in this world, just a little peace. No more war, just a little peace in this world. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together?
So how can we tell what really happened here?
Okay, that is my commentary on this war and all the wars. I was going to sing it to you, but I decided against it. Everybody wants to live together. Why can't we live together? No matter what color, you're still my brother. You're still my brother. Everybody wants to live together. Everybody's going to be together. Everybody's got to be together. Everybody wants to be together. I said, no matter what color, you're still my brother. We gotta live together. And his name, Timmy Thomas, and that was written in 1973. We want no more war, just a little peace. And that was in 1973. And I've lived through a lot of wars and seen a lot in my life. Decades. I don't even remember a decade of my life without a war. But I remember the trigger on this one, you know, I'm an old lady, was the Vietnam footage. And I remember when they came back and the guys we were just kids. Jean, who's a singer, I'll put everything, all the links in the show notes, all right? And then you'll be able to go to their channel. And what I was going to say is, you know, when these guys came back, there was no post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis. And I was like 14, and there was a bunch of Vietnam vets that came and hung out in our town at Dutcher Street. It was a house. I was a kid. My girlfriend was older. And these guys, they went to war when they were 18. When they came back, they were heroin addicts. And they were also just in their early 20s. And we were young kids. And they were hanging out with us because hanging out with us symbolized what they missed. And I remember, I was young. I was probably too young. We used to sit around the living room and listen to the record player, listen to the Stones and all the good music. And then when Roseanne was older than me, and her boyfriend, he died in the bathtub. He OD'd the bathtub. I mean, it was a shock. I learned young about humanity. So that was kind of triggering for me, you know. And I'm sure everybody has triggers. Everybody does. It's getting more difficult to come to terms with that feeling, or the fact that there are no solutions to pretty much every single issue we have going on today. No, but there are some people that you can read their writing and feel a little better for 5 minutes. And I don't think, quite frankly, that Jared is hopium. You'll see. I wonder. Okay, so thank you for coming. I don't think I have anything else other than, what could we pick as the flush of the day? I think I have an idea for the flush of the day. We're going to do one. And my idea for the flush of the day is this whole the whole war. All of the ugliness and the killing and the slaughtering in the name of power, in the name of religion, in the name of genocide. It's pretty sick. R.I.P. Michael Dowd. He started out kind of Christian and ended up a religious naturalist. Jesus had no problem with that. Buddha and Akhilandeshwari are also likely walking with him now, waiting for us. Well, Gary, it's beautiful to impart your feelings, because it doesn't give me, I don't know if I could say it's hope. It just makes me feel good. And right now, I need to feel good. I was taught as a child that 2 wrongs don't make a right, and that an eye for an eye leaves everyone blind. You are so right. I was thinking the same thing. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth is not right. And my dogs are goth, sweetheart. Jesus, if he did exist, he was a hippie. Well, I really appreciate all of you guys coming. I really do. I see you guys have had some really good conversations in there, in the chat. And I really certainly, I didn't want to do the long drawn out show. I wanted to make my point. I wanted to read. Hi, Veg. I really wanted to. Hi. Oh, hi, Jake. I forgot. Oh, I almost forgot. We have to do this. Very important to do this right now. So hang on a second, because tomorrow night is my first being with Left Past 10. So, I will be on there tomorrow night at 10 o'clock Eastern with the crew. So I think it's going to be pretty cool, and it will be streaming on this channel and the Letter Hack. Probably the best chat will be on the Letter Hack, but if you want to support me on this channel, it's fine. It's going to be completely different than Environmental Coffee House typical fare, okay? I need it. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. Love you. Dance your way out, man. Makes you feel good. Woohoo!